Development Corporation. Today is August the 25th, 2025. And the time is 6:03, give or take. So the meeting has been called to order. First thing we're going to have is the invocation, which I will do. And then the next thing we will do is have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our very own Mr. Goff. So, if you will please stand. The word of prayer. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we lift up your name in thanksgiving and praise because you are holy, 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 and heaven and earth is full of your glory. We're thankful for this opportunity that you've lovingly given us, even though we did not deserve it, to experience one more day and to serve, representing this community with economic development. And we're thankful that every good gift and every perfect gift comes from above, from the Father of lights. And we pray that you would gift us right now with wisdom, knowledge, insight, cooperation. And we pray, dear God, that you would give us the insight that we need to lead this community in the way that you would have it to go. And that all things might be done decently and orderly. For we ask it all in the matchless name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, first pledge allegiance to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and then the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goff. Next item on the agenda is citizens' public forum. And Ms. Murray, did we have anyone that wanted to address us via the World Wide Web? No one. Okay. Well, maybe next time. Okay. Brings us to item number 2, hearings. Item 2A, conduct a public hearing to discuss Resolution 2025-8-28, approving a sponsorship grant funding request to the Pink Diamond Bike Ride and authorize the president to execute the necessary documents. Mr. Barrera.
Good evening, Mr. President, fellow board members. This item in your packet was prepared by Ms. Evans. Unfortunately, she could not be here with us this evening, but she'd asked me to step in her absence. So I was glad to go through this request with you. If there's anything that I missed out, please let me know. We also have the applicants here in the room to answer any questions that you may have regarding this sponsorship application. What you have in your packet is a request for Pink Diamond's bike ride. An application was submitted by Mark and Karen Cooks. They have the charity M&K Charities, which they are here in the room to answer any questions that you may have. The Pink Diamond's bike ride and West Southwest Health Fair is a community event that promotes breast cancer awareness, public safety, and civic engagement. The event includes $8,000 to $9,000 non-for-profit give-back commitment to the Pink Diamond Survivors of Cancer 501c3 established in Duncanville. This is the first annual rodeo to include bike safety education, minor bike repair stations, a walk to school safe program. This is being led by TechStop, and a free health checks at the health fair. The economic impact, families, survivors, and supporters. As far as local participation, here's the breakdown. It is estimated that there's going to be 125 cyclists. Of that, 25% is anticipated to be local Duncanville residents. There will be 50 volunteers. It is anticipated that 40% of those volunteers will be Duncanville residents. There will be 25 vendors. 28% will be local, I have a local Duncanville presence, and 7 local Duncanville businesses will be participating in this event. You have, just to name a few, you have Tom Thumb, that participating, Takeout Burgers, Scooters, and a few others. The participants are expected to receive a flyer featuring exclusive offers from local businesses. These are the businesses I had shared with you: Tom Thumb, Scooters, Takeout Burgers, etc. As far as the financial details, the request this evening is for $5,000. The earmarked funding, these funds, if approved, will be used to help defray the cost for police security, which will include off-duty officers from Duncanville PD, as well as officers residing in Duncanville but serving other communities. Marketing and benefits are to be confirmed. Next slide, please. And here's a quick a video that was put together from last year's event.
Hi, I'm Robin Howard from Dallas, and I'm here fighting in the Pink Diamonds Fight Civil Rights for Breast Cancer Awareness, and I'm writing in I'm super excited, and I think it's going to be a great day. Texas. I am a 23-year breast cancer survivor, and the ride was great. We got a little lost, but came on back, and I will do it again next year. I am Cleo Tarpley. I was out here on this awesome ride. I only did 7 miles, but I love it. I'll be back next year. 15. Woohoo!
Considerations. Since the staff report and the board packet was distributed, M&K Charities was verified with the Secretary of State as a non-for-profit. That's one of the criteria for sponsorship money. The second one is the applicant special event is in process but has not been approved yet. Mr. Cooks actually before the meeting had shared with me that this is the 5th year that this event is held, and every year this event grows bigger and bigger. Unlike last year, we have more local business participation, and we also are looking to engage the students from Duncanville ISD. Previously, Duncanville ISD was a sponsor of the event, but did not have the level of participation from its students in this event. So Mr. Cook and his team has done a great job in getting more local support, more local participation from residents, students, and also from local business establishments. And we're looking forward to this year's and definitely next year's as well, but one at a time, right, Mr. Cooks?
That's
Of course, we need to get done. We need to get with this one. Mr. Cooks, did I leave anything out in the presentation? Anything that you feel should be shared or needs to be shared?
Come on.
Absolutely, come on.
Well, good evening again, everyone. Mark Cooks, the Bike Ride. Thank you again for taking the presentation today. One of the things he talked about first on the rodeo is that we've always had a kids rodeo, where we're looking to increase that rodeo within the parking lot. What happens at the kids rodeo is that we partner with 2 people, Tech Stop, this is their 3rd year, I believe, and then bike-friendly South Dallas. Each one of those organizations line up cones for kids to ride through the cones, talking about safety. Textile in the second, third year actually hands out free helmets and vests to kids as well. And so not only the kids are doing it, but anybody can get the vest and the helmets as they come along. So they've turned out really well. They are excited, always keep us on their list. So that's the bike rodeo itself. We had it, we want to increase the presence. This time, we're actually going to hand out things throughout the school district. We're encouraging those kids to learn their riding their bike, whether it's to school or whether it's to rodeo. The exciting part of that, though, is part of the partnership with Duncanville ISD. We also have offered not just this rodeo, but to offer them to come to the school to their field day and have a field day event with them with their riding their bikes right there at their school. So we have two schools. The ISD will identify that our team will come out and do some bike rodeos right there on the site. So that's about the bike rodeo. The event this year, last year, we were aiming at a good goal, was trying to get at 200. Luckily, we were glad to say we did 200 plus of ridership, of cyclists coming from all over. We had people from Wichita Falls, Stephanie will the number of people from
Fake taxes, Burnett,
yeah,
Lubbock.
So we have all of those coming here, and it's exciting to see that many people early that morning. The ride has grown from again, this is our 5th year, but our very first year, how it really got started for those that are new to hearing about the Pink Diamond Bike Ride is Miss Linda Lydia, who's you hear from in just a second, with Pink Diamond Survivors. She asked if I could come and speak to the group about on behalf of the city at that time, which was great. And so I saw that they were out walking, and we decided to just kind of do a bike ride. So it started with 3 people registered on that first bike ride, and only one person rode, that was me. And so I rode up Main Street and turned around and came back to Armstrong Park. From there, we just grown every year. And so this last year was a good milestone of having 200 cyclists. Some of you in the room, I won't have to identify, some of you in the room rode that ride with us. Matter of fact, that young lady said she got lost. Somebody in the room was really instrumental in getting that person lost because he left them. I won't call him name. He left them. But the other part of it, we have the mayor who's always participating. He calls me and says, "Look, I want to be part of it." He's always our SAG driver, and the SAG driver is if they can't get all the way, they get in a truck and they bring them back to the spot. So we're glad that it has grown that far, grown so far that we have moved it from traditionally the senior citizens parking lot to now we're at Duncanville High School parking lot, which gives us a little bit more room, and the health fair, which you'll hear about in just a second, has really grown a whole lot. And so we started with the bike ride, the health fair was right on there with it, and the health fair was just as fast as the bike ride, so we needed more space. The other portion of it that I always like to do is as we pass out cards, which Karen and I go all around to any other bike ride, passing out cards talking about the bike ride and the health fair. We were just in Wichita Falls this weekend, and we passed out 700, we flagged 700 cars, just telling them, come to Duncanville. And there was plenty other people that was local in Wichita Falls that was saying, I'm here local and I'll be coming in. Actually, one person that was from Duncanville. So it is cycling is really big. Every year, Cedar Hill has a Head for the Hills bike ride, which they have about 800 people in that bike ride. But guess what? That bike ride has been going on for 38 years. And so they give back to non-charity profit as well. So that's great. But I'll end with saying, as we pass out cards, we have a local participation. You saw State Farm. State Farm is here local, and so we'll be talking State Farm partnership through those riders who get insurance for the bikes. We have food presented by last year we used Smoky D's. This year we'll be using a couple of the other restaurants, which will be Pellet House and others. And so you'll see the list. But on the back of the card, it tells our visitors, when you finish, here's some favorite spots in Duncanville to go visit. And so then also the back of the card, it says, also a site to go visit while you're in Duncanville. And we identified it as being Armstrong Park Historical Site, telling them to come over here and see it, because they don't just come by themselves, they come with their family as well. With that, I'll let Ms. Linda come up and talk about pain damage survivors, and then we'll open up any questions you may have for me.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to hand you some cards that will give you a little bit more information about the pink diamonds. I am a 30-year breast cancer thriver. That means that I still have active cancer, but I'm really committed to this effort of trying to raise funds for people who are uninsured or underinsured experiencing cancer. And so when Mark came to me with the idea of doing a bike ride, which would add some additional dollars to our coffers, it was such a great win for me, because this is giving us more money to give out to people who are in need. There is such a lack of funds right now for people. And even people with insurance, it's becoming very hard because the co-pays are for chemo and treatments is running around $1,750. You know, it may not sound like a lot of money to you guys in here, but if you're living on a fixed income, in order to stay alive, you have to pay $1,750 to get your treatment. So we are really proud about the efforts that we make every year. We have grown and grown and grown. We have all of the major hospitals supporting us. Parkland is present and has been present almost from the beginning. HEB, who is not a hospital, has been our major sponsor since we started and have recognized the work of trying to create a place for funds to be raised to help these people who are uninsured and underinsured. We have Parkland. This year Baylor came on board. If you look on there, you'll see where we give away books to people who've just been diagnosed with breast cancer. You don't come with a glossary of how to deal with breast cancer. It is something that just hits you in the face and you can't figure out what to do, other than think, why me? It gives you all the definitions of the different types of cancer. It gives you information on types of treatment. It is a complete encyclopedia, so to speak, of how to get through this journey. And Baylor is our named sponsor for that this year. They called me and asked if they could be, if they had heard about it. UT Southwestern has come on board as well. Texas Health Resources in Fort Worth is providing us a mobile mammogram unit. The Black Heart Association is going to have a unit. This year we're going to have the Colgate pediatric van that's going to be out there, that's going to tie in really well with the youth activities that we're planning in the parking lot, where they'll be running tests on children. We usually average between 30 and 45 vendors, healthcare providers. And it's really interesting because the people who come there really don't have access to doctors for the most part. So this is their opportunity to find out about types of things that they need to do to maintain health and wellness. And that's what this is all about, health and wellness and raising dollars for those individuals who don't have the resources, like perhaps some of us do, to get treatment. And I tell everybody I have a longevity. I have like 5 shelf lives given, 2 5-year shelf life given to me. But I thank God and that good insurance that I got that has kept me up and going. So really appreciate Mark again for the tremendous input and help he's given me, not just in dollars for me to contribute to treatment and research, but also for me to get through this process, because this was definitely a new process for me. I came out of a different background completely. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Yes, sir.
Can you repeat one more time the date, the time, and the location
Yes.
of everything that you all are asking for?
It is going to be on October the 11th, and it will start at 8 a.m. at the Performance Hall there at Duncanville. The last 3-4 years we've been over at the Senior Citizen Center, but very honestly, we outgrew that. And so this year, and it was really a traffic issue, getting people in and out. So we decided that let's move to a larger location, and Duncanville High School was gracious enough to extend that to us, and I think it's gonna really make a big difference. When you drive by there on the 11th, you're gonna be so impressed. It's gonna be not just gorgeous on the inside with vendors, but it's also outside. It's gonna be really, it's gonna be a plus to see.
So the health fair will be going on at the same time as the bike ride,
Yes.
both in the Shine Center and in the parking lot.
And the
around.
parking lot, yes, because we'll have the big Texas Health Resource, we're doing free mammograms. We will have the Heart Association out there, we'll have the Colgate van out there, and there's one other potential van, and I'm not gonna say who it is until I get it confirmed, but they will be in the parking lot as well for our community to go and receive services and everything. Please understand, everything we do is free. If you look at that thing I give you, you will see that we provide prostheses for women who've had mammograms, not mammograms, had mastectomies. And we provide wreaths, we've been making wreaths for 2 weeks that we'll be giving away to people who have, gone through breast cancer. And so it's a service, I think, that we have done really well with and we're real proud of. Anything else?
Just one additional question. I didn't see, I know you talked about the number of vendors. Do you know approximately how many people come through the health fair?
It's usually around 200, but this year I'm hoping there'll be a lot more. And I think with the magnitude of what's gonna be going on out in that parking lot, I think the community's gonna be going to a lot more than it has in the past, where it was sort of like back off the main drag in the years before.
You know, then as a testimonial that, from that particular thing, when we had it at the senior center, one lady was walking by and she said, "What's going on tomorrow?" We said, "The health fair, bike ride." She said, "I don't ride bikes, but I need the health fair, right?" She went to the health fair, and during that health fair, she was diagnosed with having breast cancer.
It's surprising how many people.
And so, again, somebody local, but the whole point of it is, that's what drives us to do what we do. And I'm just a leg of Linda's. It's free to our community, but the cyclists do have to pay to enter in, because that's where we get the funding from, to give back to Pink Diamonds and to pay overhead for the police department. Last year, we used about 23 officers throughout. This ride starts here in Duncanville, but it travels up to Midlothian for the 50-mile ride. We have a family ride that travels. This time we're going straight up Greenstone and returning. And so Holy Cross Spirit has been gracious enough to allow us to have a rest stop there, and they're looking to having some of their volunteers to be there. We have fraternities that has agreed to be there to kind of be volunteers, as well as some of our own city folks. So I'll open up for questions at this time.
I've got a couple of questions, if I may. Last year, Ms. Limpy, was the application for your organization for the ride?
Let me answer that. So I handled this portion of it. So the application was for the Best Southwest, which was through the same organization as MA. We had to transfer that to be a nonprofit, but all of the proceeds that we talked about still went back to Pink Diamonds.
Okay. So did we get a report, Victor, you know, how the ride went last year?
I have to double check our files.
Do you know if you submitted one last year?
I don't know if I submitted, I think I came back and talked about this and stuff, but I'm not sure if it's already got for it.
So, because this year the application is for you, that the payment would be made to you from EDC. And then, once the event's over, then a donation would be made to Ms. Linda's.
Yes, it's the same way, that's been the same way every year. Nothing has changed on that other than that.
Okay.
So same way. I just figured I need to get it out of our business name, because I was paying taxes for that, and put it into that property.
Understand.
If I may, we've heard the benefits of this event, but we've also seen that over the years, the event has just grown and will continue to grow. And through that growth, we work with local participation from our businesses, from our residents.
Yes.
And we have more sponsorships, more corporate sponsors being involved, maybe not sponsored monetarily, but being involved in this community event. And as I look at the application, my understanding is that the event cost, all in, is anywhere between $30,000 to $35,000. You know, that $89,000 is given to
Yes.
the
diamond survivors.
in diamond survivors. So, but there's the cost every year just go up. And so I share with the board that the initial grant application was for $8,500. This evening, what you're being asked to consider is $5,000. And why the difference is because we've shared with Mr. Cooks the recent sponsorship policy here recently was approved by city council. So the result of that and review of that, the request funding was decreased to what you have in front of you now at $5,000. The $5,000 mark is in line with the new sponsorship policy that you approved and was recently approved by city council. So I just wanted to share that information with you.
And your funds will be more so earmarked for the safety of the event. So just want you to know, that whole event, we're paying those officers up front, and then have a reimbursement for those officers to then balance it back out. So, Pink Diamond Survivors has another piece that they do fundraising for as well. So it's just a combination of things that we work together. Questions, Frank?
I am glad that you all have taken the time to come and provide us an opportunity to help make an event possible for such a worthy cause. My question is to Victor, and that is, I did notice both in reading and on the screen that there was a statement that said that the special event permit hadn't been processed yet.
It is
Can you
being
share
processed.
that? Huh?
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hadn't been approved.
It is being processed, it's not been approved, but in
Not
order
been
for,
approved.
for the event to take place, the event has to be approved.
Okay, so other than that, this organization has complied with all of the provisions of the new funding policy.
Yes, that's my understanding, yes.
All right. Well, it is documented here that it's supposed to be a public hearing, so I guess with everything that we've experienced so far, I'm going to open a public hearing on this issue, and it is 6:31 p.m. So is there someone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this particular item on the agenda? I will close the public hearing at 6:31 p.m. And so, are there any other questions for the organizers from this board? Okay, so the chair will then entertain a motion either to approve or not approve this particular item on the agenda.
I move for approval of resolution 2025-828, contingent upon approval of the special event permit in the amount of $5,000.
Okay, it has been motioned by Mr. Robin, is there a second? Okay, Ms. Hill. Okay. Zelda, I'm sorry.
I need y'all to be a little louder. Alright.
My little voice can't carry that far.
Alright.
Bad enough I get calls talking about, are you the woman of the house? Okay. So with that being said, we will have a roll call vote on this particular item on the agenda. So Ms. Murray?
Mr. Broughton,
Aye.
Ms. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Zupa.
Aye.
Ms. Payne.
Aye.
Ms. Savage.
Aye.
Ms. Abney. Aye. Mr. Hurd.
Aye. Approved, 7-0.
Thank you very much. And we hope you guys come and participate as well. Oh, we certainly will be there as well, so we have certain commitments.
And for the record, that bike reader had the wrong directions.
Oh, okay, that's what it was, okay.
I didn't call it that. You Thank you, Victor.
All right. So that takes us to 3B. Hear presentation on comprehensive plan and consider approval of resolution 2025-829 supporting the city of Duncanville's comprehensive plan staff.
Good evening, board. We have on the call today with us members from MRB Group, right? They are the consultants for the city who completed their comprehensive plan update, right? Also in the audience joining us today is members from our city manager's office. City Manager Richard Abernathy, as well as Assistant City Manager Mark Roush, right? Matt, if you can hear me okay, and if you're ready to drive, we'll give you the wheel. Okay?
One second, let me
Okay.
fix the
If you
audio.
can hear her, she said 1 second.
No. Can you see if you can see it? Try now. So this is for the video.
Yeah.
Can you try speaking, please? Yeah.
Matt, can you hear us?
Yep, can you all hear me okay?
Okay.
All right, yes.
Okay. Great. Well, I know you all had this draft for a while, so I won't walk you through the entire document, but I will touch on some of the key points, I think the foundational elements of the plan, and then some policy areas that I think directly affect the work of the DCEDC. But before we get started, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Moore. I'm the Director of Strategic Growth for MRB Group, and I've been the project manager on this project since the very beginning. Actually, was introduced to Duncanville by a prior engagement with the DCEDC, where we did an organizational assessment for economic development. And that also served as a real guiding light for this project. Just a quick look back at how the project developed. Back in July of 2024, City Council authorized our group to start working. We started in earnest that fall, about a year ago right now. We started working on the plan. We had our first workshop last December over at the Duncanville Fieldhouse. We shared some of the early data that we had developed part of the plan, as well as support on our vision statement. and some of the planning principles. Back in January, we came and met with the EDC and the city council through what we call confirmation of direction, which is basically to say, hey, the steering committee feels like we're pointing in this direction. How do you all feel about that? So we got endorsement from both the EDC and the city council to continue planning on the path we were on. Through the spring, we met again with some community stakeholders and then began drafting the recommendations pieces of the plan with the first draft released back in June. The steering committee did their final work on that, and at the very end of June, the final draft was released for community review. Later in July, we held a really well-attended community forum at the venue of a joint meeting between City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission to unveil the plan, to have our public hearing, and to get the work of adoption rolling. The planning process itself was guided by a really strong and committed steering committee, representatives from around the community, including members of City Council, Planning and Zoning Commission. And for a big part of the planning process, we had a representative from the DCEDC who unfortunately had to step out, but we were engaged with city staff and with representatives of your team to make sure that particularly the economic development pieces came together. So what we discovered initially is that Duncanville is a place that has these really incredible assets. Strategic location, located right in the Metroplex, a really diverse community, which we think is going to be the basis of your next era of success. And a full-service city. You know, we say this, we kind of take this for granted from time to time when you live in a place like Duncanville where you have these really great facilities and services programs, a functioning and thriving EDC. Those are things that a lot of communities, particularly, the further you get from the metro area, the more limited these communities are in their ability to serve residents. But Duncanville has this full-service city. But with all of that, in the last 20, 30 years, we've had a real challenging time capitalizing on those assets. It's been very difficult. We've watched our neighbors grow. We did some data analysis that you'll find in the plan that showed growth in the region as very substantial. I mean, the DFW Metroplex, one of the fastest growing areas in the country, even in terms of Best Southwest, which isn't the fastest growing piece of DFW, but our neighbors were growing at 2 to 3 times the speed of Duncanville. And so we had to ask some tough questions about why that was and how we might move forward. So the foundation for the plan always starts with a vision. Our vision is the ideal condition of Duncanville 20 years from today if we do what the plan recommends. The community embraces the plan and attacks the planning principles and the priority policy areas. We believe Duncanville to be a forward-looking, resident-focused community. You won't read this whole thing, but you're going to build on your position right in the Metroplex. We talked about connectedness and charm of small towns. Duncanville has a lot of that, and we envision that continuing into the future. High-quality housing stock, thriving neighborhoods, accessible recreational amenities, educational opportunities, robust healthcare. This creates a real high quality of living for current residents. Downtown Duncanville is the heart of it all. It's the civic cultural hub, walkable, really strong urban feel in downtown, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That word in particular has a unique meaning in places like Duncanville, but bustling, lively, and interwoven with public art, live music, performances. Beyond downtown, the corridors, we recognize these as our front doors. They're going to leave a lasting positive impression. Again, just like downtown, when you come off of 67, 20 or some of these other high velocity highways, you're gonna feel immediately like you're in a place, a really special place. Infill, high quality redevelopment, new residential and commercial opportunities, and really contribute to the economy in a way that they haven't in recent memory. And this last statement is my favorite, possibly in the whole plan. It talks about this blend of innovation and tradition, right? People love the identity of Duncanville. They love being from Duncanville. They talk about what a great community is, that the tradition, that's what people feel in their belly when they talk about their hometown. But we have to find a way to balance that, to retain some of that, some of the things that are really working, but also entertain innovation, embracing diversity, inclusionary decision making, and if we can do all that, we can really empower our residents to grow and thrive in Duncanville. So again, just kind of think about the intentionality of a community. If you talk about where you want to be and you work toward that, then you end up in this great space. Planning principles, these are things where we know that we've got a good framework for implementation at the end of this document, and we recognize that to-do list is important, but we also have to, back to embracing tradition and innovation, we have to recognize that the day after the council adopts this plan, somebody's going to wander in off the street with a great idea that's not listed in the plan. And if we hold tight to the plan and hold tight to the really specific recommendations that are in there and just say no to everything else, we're going to miss the boat on some things. And so what the planning document calls for is, hey, use this as really as a decision-making guide. And these planning principles and the vision in particular, they lay out a framework for you to evaluate new ideas. Is this fiscally responsible? That doesn't mean, is this the cheapest way to move forward? It means, are we investing for the long term? Are the investments we make catalytic? Are they going to open up new opportunities for us in the future? Does the proposal or the project promote inclusion? Were we inclusive in the decision-making process? Or did we just take one word for it and really limit decision to just the council or just to a word? Does it promote resilience? Resiliency means lots of different things, but in this context, it means, will we stay socially connected with our neighbors? Will we be financially strong? And will we be environmentally sound? That's really resilience. So a new project that comes in, will it promote advanced resilience? And then innovation. And innovation gets thrown around a lot. So it's actually not my favorite word of all time because it's overused and incorrectly used. But in this case, the steering committee was talking about innovation as course changing, right? As something that's going to move Duncanville up a notch as we move forward. So as new ideas come to the front, the question becomes, how will it advance us toward our vision more quickly, more efficiently, and how does it align with these core planning principles? Priority policy areas are these big chunky areas of operations that are going to move us fastest and most effectively toward our vision. And we won't go through all of these tonight. I'm sure you've seen it in the plan. But for each one of these priority policy areas, we've built an action plan that's really near term, call it first 5 to 7 years of work toward advancing these priority areas. One of the things we talked about very early with the steering committee was comprehensive plan. That word comprehensive, it certainly denotes the fact that we try to look at everything, but if we try to tackle everything all at once, we really won't get very far. And so we asked the community really, or the committee, to really focus, to really pick some areas they thought would move us more quickly. They talked about healthy, active, creative communities. This is where parks and recreation, arts and culture, and all of these things really focus in on making, on creating healthy neighborhoods and a healthy community. Livable neighborhoods, this is things like housing attainability, the ability for us to be, again, connected to our neighbors, to create a real sense of place and a community that people want to live in. Resilient economic and community development, certainly the DCEDC plays roles in just everything up here, but resilient economic and community development is your bread and butter. We're going to dig at that in a minute and talk about what that is. But it basically is what it says it is. It's creating economic opportunity in the community, building wealth among our neighbors. Integrated natural built environments. This just talks about creating a great space without compromising our environmental characteristics. Things like the nature preserve, the the great creeks and water in the area. We want to make sure that as we develop and build out, not only do we not damage those, we certainly don't want to do that, but how can we enhance it? How can we create more opportunities for our residents to connect with the natural environment? Downtown Miami, this is another place where the DCEDC is going to live and breathe. That resilient economic and community development piece could have encompassed downtown, but the committee felt so strongly about downtown as an economic engine that it pulled that out. And so we want to create a separate focus area around this. We'll talk about that in a moment too. Equitable transportation networks and mobility. This deals with how our transportation network is going to be managed, how we're going to balance the need of the car with folks who are pedestrians or cyclists, how people move around in Duncanville, and making sure that everyone can get where they need to be. Fiscal responsibility and infrastructure. This is what it says it is. It talks about how the city is going to behave financially, and how is the city going to make these infrastructure investments to ensure long-term sustainable growth development. So the policy areas that we really wanted to focus on for title, that we can answer questions or take questions about all of these tonight. Resilient economic and community development. Inside of the plan, there is a specific work plan for this focus area. But generally, we're talking about building this culture that promotes wealth building for our residents, right? We talked about this during our organizational assessment, improving regional image. We met during the organizational assessment, we met with over 40 business owners and other stakeholders in the community. And what just about every one of them said was, Duncanville is viewed outside as a kind of a challenging place to do business. And some of the business owners that we met with had experienced some of that pressure, some of that challenge. And so there's some things in here about improving the mechanics of our development process, and the DCEDC has a role there, but also promoting ourselves as open to new investment, open to new ideas. And so that's going to take some work. Fostering local business growth, right? We joked around about, people don't drive 2 towns over to see what Duncanville's Chick-fil-A or Applebee's looks like. Those are critical pieces of our economic development, and they will come, and they happen because of the work you're doing. But we also have to establish ourselves as a unique community, and as a place, a destination for folks to travel to experience. And that's going to need local, small businesses that distinguish Duncanville. Strategic, we heard a lot, and I people are tired of hearing me talk about this, but we heard a lot of terms like built out, right? And we landlocked. We understand landlocked because every municipality is landlocked. That's the nature of municipal government. But built out is a locally grown mechanism. That's the result of development codes locally. We started talking about Duncanville and about our economic success in terms of net revenue per acre. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but really looking at these areas of the community where we can rethink what's sitting there today. Already seen some of this and participated. The DCEDC has participated in places like Main Station, Wheatland Plaza. That's strategic infill. That's creating net revenue per acre. Inclusionary growth. This just means we want people who want to be here, who share our values, we want them to have an opportunity to stay and to grow with us. And so that's things like attainable housing and job creation, and ensuring that our residents get to participate in this growth and they're not boxed out. A diverse base. Duncanville has this today. We need more of it. We don't want to rely on 1 or 2 very significant industries to kind of drive the whole bus. We want a mix of smaller and diverse uses that will weather the tide. That's that resilient development. So when one trend goes, we're not reliant upon that trend, or we're not reliant upon that one large scale business. We've got a full basket of diverse opportunities. Streamlined development process. Can't say this enough, and I know since the very first time we talked about this, which even predates the comp plan by a few months, certainly from the beginning of the comp plan, since we started this, the city's already taken the next steps to kind of move this along, whether it was realignment, organizationally, are looking at some processes, but there's still more work to be done to make sure that investment feels welcomed, that people who are coming here to do great things are welcomed and are moved along. Integrated natural and built environments. This deals with the development regulations that we think Duncanville is going to have to dig into. Their zoning in particular, we have to take a look at Duncanville zoning and identify opportunities to both strengthen the sense of place. That's a tough thing, particularly those gateways that we talked about. In your downtown, you can see sparks of this really cool urban form, this urban design. But as we get out towards those corridors, things start to flatten out and sprawl out. And we want to work as hard as we can to really create a strong sense of place that when people arrive in Duncanville, they can feel it. They feel like they've come someplace special. And so that word urban rang some bells in our initial conversations around it. So we started sharing some examples of what local urban feels like. Your neighbors over in Lancaster discovered it. You don't need 5-story tall buildings to reinforce urban. These are places with outside seating that are walkable and accessible to the community that have some unique streetscaping elements, street trees in particular that provide relief from that heat. Everywhere we went throughout this whole comprehensive planning process, people said, you gotta see Bishop Arts, you gotta see Bishop Arts. And we agreed. When we got into Bishop Arts, we saw elements that are easily replicable in Duncanville, and that Duncanville could kind of take and create your own version of this. But same thing, buildings that address right up on the street, like Main Station does, like a lot of your downtown stuff does, letting some of that collectivity flow out to the sidewalk, neat outdoor dining, shade, lighting, signage, all of these things that really make you feel like you're in a destination. Right here in Duncanville itself, we've got mixed use urban elements here, residences and offices, sharing buildings with retail and residential. Again, right up on that street corner, so that it feels well, it is walkable, it's connected to the community. For downtown vitality, again, we want to focus on the small, locally owned businesses, on infilling where it's appropriate, even in opportunities where we're not going to take down buildings and put in buildings with broad shoulders. We're going to find ways to pull some of that design up to the street, outdoor seating, outdoor dining, those kinds of things, nice lighting. Public art, I know City Council and the community at large have been really working on this arts and culture district. We see that as a reality right there in Armstrong Park, and we think downtown should just wrap it around it and really hug that arts and culture district, capitalize on things like the community theater and Armstrong Parks, both maybe walking art opportunity to enjoy visual and sculpture, but also additional performance venues and unique shopping opportunities and through there. Some of the land use things we wrestled with, we talked about this already, a little bit of sprawl that we got to address, particularly key corridors. Can't emphasize this enough. Those corridors are your front door. If people aren't getting off of 67, if they're choosing to drive by us on 67, it's because we're not capturing their eye. We're not showing off that you're at someplace special. And so we need to create some of those really great gateways. We need to deal with unsustainable development patterns, which are these sprawling, kind of single-story. Think about Christmas Day parking all year, or Christmas Eve parking all year round. We've got a lot of that. There's a lot of asphalt, a lot of straight parking lots out there that we need to rethink and maybe modernize our code a bit to deal with those issues. We need to think about mixed uses, particularly in downtown and along Main Street. We talk about gentle densification and a mix of uses in neighborhoods. We're not talking about dropping a quarter-store dead center in the middle of a bunch of neighborhoods. But we are talking about along arteries, along key corridors, are there opportunities to create walkable, small-scale shopping that residents wouldn't have to get in their car and go all the way out to focusing on, again, this idea of revenue per acre and net revenue per acre. So since Duncanville is, it is, as we said, landlocked, right? We have to think about the acreage that's sitting in the community. And this really is something that DCEDC has to focus on. That acreage that exists inside of our municipal boundary. How do we maximize that? How do we make sure that we can capitalize on economic activity there without compromising neighborhood feel? People live in their neighborhoods today in large part because they love the neighborhood feel. They love what they've termed as small town feel. So how do we balance that? And that's the trick. And there's some strategies in the plan to do that, and we think it's very feasible. So moving beyond tonight, back in the first part of August, City Council blessed the adoption schedule. We did present the plan to the Planning and Zoning Commission about 2 weeks ago. Tonight, we're here to hear from you, to take your feedback, and our intent is to carry that feedback on to City Council. I should say, we got great feedback in the public hearing. Staff has helped pull together a whole list of questions and ideas that came from the public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission have provided us with some feedback. We're going to get some additional feedback from them in a week or two, and then hopefully tonight, beyond tonight, we'll hear from you all to carry some ideas into the council so that they can be prepared to adopt their plan by the end of this month. So that's the overview of the comprehensive plan. Like I said, I didn't want to run through the whole thing, given the fact that you all have had this for a bit. Wanted to make sure we had plenty of opportunity to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Yeah.
I may be getting my plans mixed up, but was there not also a notation in there about the potential of developing specific area plans to help cast a vision for specific areas? Is this in that plan?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay.
It sure is. Particularly around that, when we need an update to the downtown master plan. There exists a downtown master plan. We'd like to see that updated. It's a bit old, decade or better old. And then at each of these corridors, on each of these gateways, they all represent kind of a unique opportunity to set yourself off. So we talked about the TIF district. We want a TIF district master plan that really lays out what the opportunities are for redevelopment there. Around 67 corridor master plan to again take some of these high visibility front doors and really sculpt them into something unique and powerful. But so yes, no, you're thinking of this plan. That's correct.
And a follow-up question to that is, I would imagine that the future budgetary request potentially from this body to fund some of those area plans. I would imagine, or would it come out of the city budget? In order to make this plan actually work and implementable, I'm not sure the right word. To be able to implement it, somebody's going to pay for that. So is that, something that's going to come out of the city budget? I mean, it may not be decided yet, but is that something this body should be concerned?
If I may.
We suggest a couple of different investment strategies in the plan. Where we know that you all are developing your work plan, the DCEDC work plan. We'd like for you to look at once adopted. I'm sure City Council is going to call on you to look at the pieces of the plan where you think you can have the most impact. But certainly City Council is going to need to pull some weight. DCEDC would hopefully invest in things like this. There are lots of grant opportunities out there, particularly these corridors. The Federal Department of Transportation has these great grant programs called Reconnect Communities. They've watched how, over the years, transportation policy in particular, DOT policy in particular, has kind of separated some of these uses apart. We really need to be growing back together. So between grant funding and some partners locally, but yes, I anticipate that it will be a mix of funds to implement.
Yeah, I will share with you that one that I know that we're working on is we've been working with the board on one of the areas that they have targeted as an improvement area. And the TIF board has authorized us to prepare an RFQ for their area. We have recently published that RFQ, that opportunity, but for that group, they will be paying for that sub-area through their own budget, because they have money in their funds to be able to pay for this sub-area plan. As for the other ones moving forward, there may be the possibility that you may see a request, at this time I just don't know, but I will share that one with you, that we recently worked within the last 30, 45 days with the TIF board, and that has now been marked as an opportunity for consultants to respond to prepare this very detailed area plan.
That's fantastic, a perfect example.
Mark?
Yeah, so I was just gonna add that, you know, the city's planning department, you know, we've actually developed a overlay district for the downtown area that, you know, upon adoption of the comp plan, you know, our intent is to bring that forward for city approval, so that we can begin to, you know, essentially incentivize development types, you know, that adhere to that new downtown overlay district type of development, and help to facilitate some of that and get some really good forward momentum on downtown redevelopment. I think in future years, obviously, as additional requests come for planning studies, we could, you know, the city, you know, either working in concert with the EDC or separately, you know, there will be some opportunities in the future to, you know, do some of the planning studies.
Anyone else?
You know, I'll send this comment to Matt, but on the education map, I think it'd be wise for us to acknowledge, even though we don't have a higher education institution in Duncanville, the partnership that Duncanville ISD has with Dallas College, I think specifically Mountain View, I think is the partner school, I think should be noted on that map as a higher education opportunity that's linked to the city.
That's great feedback, I appreciate that.
That's what they did.
Okay. So I have a question, and my question is for Victor. Who was the EDC representative on the comprehensive plan? Who was that?
The DCEDC president that serves on the comprehensive plan steering committee was Mr. Charles Reed.
And he left.
He resigned. You're asking the time point he resigned, I believe it was December of last year.
So who replaced him?
There was no replacements.
Okay. So I want to push back a little bit against sprawl, and maybe it's because with the English language you can say the same word and it means different things, different people. And so when I think of sprawl and I look at Duncanville is 12.1 square miles. And so I just don't see any instances in Duncanville where we've experienced quote unquote urban sprawl in terms of, when you tell me sprawl, I think of expansion. But you can't expand, well, your options for expansion are limited if you can't do it in the traditional way, which is horizontally. So really what I would like to see is, to accompany this document, a glossary of terms that an individual like myself, who cannot read a set of blueprints and who absolutely hates Home Depot and Lowe's, I hate those places, communicated a glossary to me, communicated in a glossary, so when I see cataclysmic investments, I don't think of something that's gonna blow up, because, you know, when I think of cataclysmic, I think of chain reaction. I think I gotta run, because this is not a good thing. So, I would like to see a glossary of terminology as part of this document. And I think with doing that, it will resonate and communicate better with people like myself who have these limitations. Now, Mr. Browder, on the other hand, that is his work. So I'm either gonna have to bug the hell out of him, and he's got all these other things to do to explain to me planning and urban development 101, or we could give people like me a glossary of terminology, and they won't have to bug Ms. Browder so much.
I appreciate that. That's great feedback. We'll absolutely add that.
All right. And just a minute, I got something else.
How do you know what terms to put in the glossary?
Well, that's a very good question. I would say,
Cataclysm, whatever that word.
yeah. I just think acronyms, you know, professions have terminology.
I know, but how do you determine which ones?
Well, I don't know, just put something down there. And, I'll go through it again and I'll tell you whether or not it, okay. Kind of like the whole, I almost started to say something, but there was a justice that said, I don't know how to define this, but I know it when I see it. So give me a glossary and then I'll look at it again, and if I find something, I'll say, oh, we need this included in the glossary. I'll do that, since, you know, we haven't had much input with this process since Mr. Reed left. That would be my contribution. Okay, I'll do it. You all heard me, you witnesses. Okay, so hold on, let me see what else I got. Okay, there's a statement on page 39. In the vicinity of the future rail transit stop at Center Street. Let me speak on behalf of only myself. I can remember hearing this in the 90s. There's going to be a future transit stop on Center Street. Well, in Sunday's Dallas Morning News, Mayor of Allison did an editorial trying to get all the people that's right now in Dallas to hold together and don't explode on each other. And the point that I'm making is that I don't think that's going to happen. So is there an alternative that can be considered? And I'm sure it will be once the plan gets into effect, that will replace that, because quite frankly, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we kind of need to let that go. But anyway, I got something to go on.
So just in reference to that, I'll note that that's referring to the location of that transit stop as outlined in the downtown Duncanville master plan. So this plan calls for an update to that downtown master plan. And you know, that master plan called for a rail stop. This plan isn't intended to show whether or not that rail stop develops. So we can definitely find better wording for that. Even if you just have to say the vicinity of the rail transit stop identified in the downtown master plan versus kind of insinuating that it's coming at some point in the future when it may have happened.
All right, page 56, it says revise the city's zoning code to enable more diverse housing opportunities. And the key partners are city, staff, DCEDC. And my question is, if we're gonna do this, then what is planning and zoning gonna do? It seems to me that we're stepping out of our lane. Maybe we should partner with planning and zoning, working in this together, but they're not on here. And so you're turning over, changing the zoning ordinance to me. And I'm already going on record as saying my limitations. So don't give me zoning, give me financials. That I get,
So
that's not what.
I'm glad you raised giving you financial, because the two pieces, I think, the two roles that the DCEDC would play in this, in this specifically. Certainly, I think the Planning and Zoning Commission and any other city organization that's part of this effort will benefit from the DCEDC's read on what's going to accelerate development in the community. So getting your eye on potential zoning updates to say, hey, this feels like it's really constrained development, and asking that question. What happens sometimes when city staff or planning and zoning commission look at something, it can get narrow focused. Like the planning and zoning commission's job is to make sure that development is orderly and in alignment with the comprehensive plan, right? So they're going to look at that through a planning and zoning lens. And what we would like for the DCEDC to do is to look at it through a developer's lens. Not to write the code, because we don't want developers writing the code either. That'll be taken the other way. But at least lending you insight to that code, to say, hey, this is really going to cycle development, or hey, this is something that the development community might latch on to. So we certainly, when we could add when we listed the city, that was we viewed that as inclusionary of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the planning and zoning staff, etc. And the DCEDC's specific role as giving us an investor's eye on this, and also possibly supporting with funding of a zoning update. It's not that that's going to be a decent lift financially if you're going to do it right, and so for the city and the DEDC to partner on that financially, I think would be something that would accelerate it, move it along much more quickly.
All right, I got another question. But this one is directed toward our city managers. They're both here. I'm sure they could have been doing other things, but here they are.
Glad to be here.
All right. So here's my question. So when this plan is approved by council, I'm gonna say when, I'm optimistic. Planning and zoning is going to, I guess, take the lead role in terms of getting various aspects of this plan implemented. And so my question is, do we have the bandwidth in terms of staff and experience to accomplish this? Because I haven't met the person in planning, but I'm hoping that this person has done this before, has implemented comprehensive plans and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so to answer your question, so our assistant director of planning is Dr. LaShayla Jones, and she's got a PhD, and she's worked on comp plans in other cities, and and I actually met this morning, and she's already preparing for a roadshow with the comp plan once it gets adopted, where she'll work with different community groups, developers, neighborhood associations, that sort of thing, in order to help publicize this plan and help encourage investment along the lines of this plan, and basically be an overall advocate, cheerleader for this plan. And I think city administration feels the same way. I mean, this plan charts the future of this city. If we want to stay the status quo, then we don't have to adopt it and just kind of stay like we are. But I think a lot of people realize we got to do something, and so this plan is kind of the blueprint for how we take Duncanville to the next step and create a future that is more financially secure, if you will, you know, in terms of our tax base with, you know, property tax and sales tax and so forth. And so, yeah, that we're already taking steps to, you know, once this plan is adopted, to continue to carry it forward.
And also, we're also added recently additional staff. We have a planner that's coming on board. So we're really trying to invest more in the planning department and getting them the resource they need. So not only lead this plan, but also be able to do those day-to-day funding. So we're definitely investing in the staff and making sure we got the right people in place.
All right. So I have one last comment, and that is, there was an old song that I heard when I was just a wee child in elementary school, couldn't have been no more than 7 or 8 years old. And there was a song that came out, and the song said, "How do you spell love?" And the answer was M-O-N-E-Y. And so I've been telling people my own personal opinion, and that is, we've been talking about this Main Street thing for years. And so, how do you spell progress on Main Street? M-O-N-E-Y. Once that is applied, change will follow.
Well, and I'll add that, you know, the question came up earlier about, you know, city staff, DCEDC, and, you know, in that table, page 59, I forget. But, you know, I think really the whole idea behind that is, you know, you gotta have your planning and zoning staff and rules and regs and everything that help support, you know, what's in this plan. And then we need city staff and our elected officials also pulling in the same direction. And then ultimately, you know, potentially in cases where it makes sense, you know, EDC or the TIF, you know, depending on where the project's at, you know, helping to come to the table as well. And so it's kind of a partnership along, you know, across all those entities.
Right.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I keep saying this is the last thing I'm gonna say. It doesn't sound like a Baptist preacher. Anyway, I will say that you two gentlemen, if you all will create the atmosphere and the reputation that Duncanville is a great place to do business, if you guys can do that, we will build statues of both of you.
We didn't vote on that.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I just want to ask one last question, or just note here. As you were mentioning about transportation, I just want to make sure our consultant had access as well to the July 2021 Southern Dallas County Transit Study. It was done by AECOM, by North Central Texas Council of Governments. There's some notes in there. This plan was developed after our last comp plan, and I'm not sure if there's any precedents that needs to be pulled over from that plan to ours that we want to adopt to make, these plans need to work together. And that was for the whole Best Southwest region. So just want to make sure you had access to that, and if not, you may want to take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll pull our list of data. I'm fairly certain we did, but if we didn't, we'll make sure there's no conflicts there.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I got 2 questions. Matt, the first one for you. For our city, you mentioned that we're landlocked. Did you guys address, because I didn't see it, the method to rebuild and redevelop existing structures, lots, whatever, to repurpose them? Because in our neighboring cities around the Metroplex, they're running out of land, and they're taking down very nice buildings to redevelop them with even very nicer buildings, because there's just no more land. Was redevelopment philosophy or anything worked into the comp plan?
So, you know, it's, for us, it starts with land use regulation, right? So what will our current codes allow us to do from a standpoint of redevelopment? This plan calls for updates to zoning and development regulation that will facilitate identification and protect community character. So there's some specific regulations as to what zoning updates should happen, and that falls in that land use chapter, and it's touched on in the integrated natural built environment chapter, but also and so from there we speak about strong urban design guidelines. And again, that was something that just brings a tuning fork with folks, but it's specific to the DCEDC role. One of the things that the committee talked about that I think has a lot of opportunity for traction is for the DCEDC to play a role in what we call adaptive reuse, which is to say, when we've got buildings like you, first of all, the Duncanville market isn't strong enough today for us to march in and start taking buildings down and throwing up new buildings. That's not a today thing, and it's a tomorrow thing. The Duncanville market's got to build for that if we even want it at all. And so the question is, how do we reposition the buildings we have today? And how can we accelerate investment in that, whether that investment is done well? And so what the plan asks the DCEDC to do is to consider an incentive pool to set aside some of your funding or to designate some of your funding for to bring on and this could be a consultant as needed type thing, but to bring on an urban design professional who can look at projects where construction or building operations are proposed, and to require that any upgrades or improvements to those buildings address a good urban form. And again, urban, like the pictures I showed you of places like Bishop Arts and downtown Lancaster, you need a specific kind of architect or designer who can look at a building and say, all right, you want $25,000 from the DCEDC for building improvements? We're not going to give you $25,000 for paint curtains. Like that's not going to happen. Or we're not going to give you $25,000, $50,000 to replace a sign that should have been built there in the first place. So what we're going to do is take that $25,000 and redirect it toward improvements that our urban designer looks at and says, yes, this is going to strengthen the fabric of downtown, or yes, this is going to create a more distinct area along Main Street or in the TIF district. And so that's one of those plans that has to follow. So when you create a downtown plan or a Main Street corridor plan or a TIF master plan, then the DCEDC role almost becomes, alongside folks like the Planning and Zoning Commission and the TIF board themselves, you kind of provide a protection there that says, to the degree that we're going to incentivize development in this area, we're only going to incentivize the right kind of development. We're not going to let you do anything that keeps the status quo, to Mark's point, or that works, takes us backwards. And so you'll find segments in the code that address that directly. Urban design standards and incentives accelerate compliance with urban design standards.
And then I had something for staff. I think one of our weaknesses in town is getting requests pushed through TxDOT. And as you guys implement the comp plan, build on that relationship with TxDOT so that when we have an issue of tractor trailers parking in places that are posted as no parking, that the enforcement and the area is addressed with signs or additional signage or repair signs that were driven over by a tractor trailer truck because they just disregard what's there and they just want it there. How we can improve our relationship for better signage and painting and all those things, that just to the point of being as you come into our city off TxDOT, it's presentable. As best as we can get out of TxDOT and their tech budget, obviously. They have a budget that they have to work with too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's a really good feedback.
okay,
For those partners.
thank you.
Okay, I don't wanna leave out anybody. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Going once, going twice. Okay, all right. So, let me make sure my reading is correct. So, let's see. Oh, hear presentation of on comprehensive plan and consider approval of resolution 2025-829 supporting the city of Duncanville's comprehensive plan. So in looking at the material, I think it gives us a couple of options. I'm trying to get to it. Let's see. No, I'm past it.
If I might, you know, we could,
Oh, yeah, I see it, I see it. Go ahead and shit on.
I was gonna say, with your resolution, if the board were to approve a resolution of support, we could include the comments offered here tonight for city council consideration, as part of that resolution.
Yes,
Yes, I'm glad Matt said that, because we're having that workshop on the 9th with the council for them to review the plan. And we can definitely take your resolution, your comments, and make sure it's presented and that your comments are incorporated into that conversation and into the plan. So we would definitely bring those forward.
all right, so with that being said, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the comprehensive plan with changes recommended by the EDC, I guess particularly, right? That would be appropriate?
I think appropriate motion would be a motion to approve resolution 2025-8-29 with the understanding that the comments from DCEDC will be presented to the committee and to the city council.
Okay, so that's what the chair will entertain a motion for.
So moved.
So moved, thank you, Mr. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded, and so, Ms. Murray, can we have our roll call vote, please?
Do you want to put it
Yes,
from
but
Wait.
Mrs. Ashley stepped out, so I'm not sure if you would like to.
She is going to the city council meeting to be interviewed so that she can come back to the board. So yeah, we'll do this, even though she's not here, we still have a quorum, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Okay.
Okay, now, were you gonna say something?
No, same way.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Thompson,
Aye.
Mrs. Zupa,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Savage,
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye. Okay, it passes. Okay. Next thing on the agenda, we're at section number 4, briefings and presentations. No action or deliberation will be taken on these items. I forgot to thank you. Y'all gotta help me. I ain't mad. No, he's all right? Okay. Okay. So, briefings and presentations, no action or deliberation will take place on these items. For A, Best Southwest Partnership Hispanic Heritage Festival pre-event briefing, and that's by Ms. Von Handel. Right?
Okay, yeah, for the record, I am not Devin Hanley, special events plan for the city.
Bait and switch.
However, as Mrs. Murray loads the slides back up, anybody need any beverage, anything to drink? We forgot to go over the housekeeping items, restrooms out, the lobby. But I'll cover the pre-event update for Hispanic Heritage. Even with my lapel pin for Hispanic Heritage, we got the logo. So,
And we'll get one as well?
absolutely.
Thank
We have
you.
plenty.
All right.
Thank you. Next slide. Okay. Hispanic Heritage Festival, right? So the event is going to be September 20th, right? This is a Best Southwest Partnership regional event. And what that means is, as one of the members, one of the founding members of that partnership, there's a rotation among the 4 cities in hosting a couple of what we refer to as signatures events, right? So this year, City of Duncanville is a proud host of Hispanic Heritage Fest, okay? We are accepting registration, we'll get wristbands, no wristbands, but we do want to track registrations just so we can kind of anticipate, how much of an audience we might attract for this event. Next slide. Right, so here's, the event starts with the parade, right? So Saturday, 3 p.m., the day of festivity starts with the parade. Similar to July 4th, we'll start the staging and begin the parade along that curb right in front of the gymnasium for Reed Middle School. Next slide. Also, like July 4th, we'll have the parade sponsored by our dealership, Freedom Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. So we're asking those of you who are interested in participating in the parade, we'll have vehicles available, if you want to take part like we did for July 4th. 2:30 p.m. is kind of more asking everybody to kind of be present so we can be in line and ready to go. Will provide us with candy and things to gently toss to the crowd. And then after the parade, then the event at the park will start. You'll have access to the surface parking lot right out here. And then of course, they'll also include your wristbands for the VIP tent. Again, probably similar setup as July 4th was. All right. Okay. Here's the site map. A lot going on in this photo, but again, it's mostly similar to what we had for July 4th, but different. And we'll see here near the bottom, north of City Hall is where our tent location will be. So we'll have access to that surface parking lot. For members of the board, there'll be also delegation from those Best Southwest Partnership cities, right? So we'll be hosting, cities hosting, you guys will also be hosting along with city council, and there's also a few members of our other boards, maybe some members from our TIF boards will be able to make it out. But nonetheless, this is the setup. All right, the state performers that Ms. Hanley has booked with our partners. It's here on the screen. Proud to announce Duncanville High School Spanish Club. They're on board. They're going to both have a tent. They're providing volunteers for them, and then they're also going to be performing on the stage. All right. The vendor market and the food truck court also open like it was for July 4th. We're tracking the registrations. More specifically, we're tracking how many of our local businesses and entrepreneurs and vendors who want to register and take part of that marketplace. There's the registration code, so if anyone's watching the presentation and you want to share, you got a local resident or anyone who sells items, want to take part, that's the registration code that they can use. So far we got 12. We'd like to be, hovering around 10% or more of all the vendors. We like to have that level of representation, just one of the KPIs that we'll try to track. Okay? Okay, some of the ways the special events planner has been promoting the event, again, it helps that it's a regional event, So really then we can provide like the posters, and then the cities are just sharing on each other's channel. But we also make it more traditional marketing and advertising, right? Publications, both Spanish language and English. Slide. Okay. Again, similar to some of the other events, we saw this exhibit on the screen, but just a breakdown of what some of those icons on the map represent. All right. Okay. Talk about last year. So Toto hosted this event last year, 2024. So if we look at what was going on in Grimes Park, we're able to see, again, using our location intelligence tool, Placer AI, just under 4,000 needs at that peak benchmark. So, you know, I know Devon's soft target is plus or minus 5,000, right? We like to champion most things we do here. So we're expecting a good turnout for this event. It's on a Saturday. Hopefully the weather's comfortable. Should be a good event. This is a survey that we'll make live, so in real time, those who attend, we're gonna try to have that on screens. We'll usually have places throughout the park where they can scan it. Let's feedback, you know, how you're experiencing, what's going on. Okay? And it'll help us and help the region plan for the events in the coming years. Okay. I think we're close to the last slide. Stand for any questions, if there are any.
Not a question per se, but just a personal appeal. If you have opportunity, please come out and participate. As you all know, our financial support is very vital in terms of making these events possible. And so, please, if you have opportunity, come out and support. If nothing else, come out and see where your money's being spent.
So to that point, I'll have Ms. Hanley send out the RSVP invitation. You can, you know, gentle reminder, but you'll have again opportunity you want to participate both in the parade and or, you know, the event at the park. All right, so we'll get that locked in and have you guys all set. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Zucker.
I don't know if she can use SurveyMonkey, but those might be kind of something easy that she could send out.
Yeah, that QR code, oh, you mean as far as
For us.
scheduling?
Yeah, or anybody. I guess the one question I have, can you go back in the slides about the cities that are participating?
Okay.
Is there a slide here about West Southwest?
I think, yeah.
So, as a Best Southwest regional event, to me, I guess the question is, are we partnering with our chambers and our neighboring Best Southwest EDCs as far as at least the contact pool of their businesses that may want to be encouraged to come over and join in the activities? Even though it is our event, but.
Yeah, I would say the expectation is that they're making similar advertising promotions to their events. We are locally, maybe not measurably, because again, we're hosted, so it's in our best interest to have as many of our local businesses or vendors participate. But just overall, to people to come out, we'll put our best foot forward, we will join the celebration. When we're not hosting the event, through an interlocal agreement, each of the cities still contribute a portion. But certainly when you're hosting, you carry the lion's share of the event budget. You essentially get to set the budget because it's an opportunity for you to showcase for the residents of the community. Juneteenth is another example of the other regional Best Southwest event. So there's co-marketing, right? We certainly don't invest a great deal of time advertising in their communities. What we do is, she described it as cross-city, cross-municipal marketing and sharing. Like, hey, here's a code even, if you want to register. Come out and part of it. And she also tries to make sure that there isn't like an overrepresentation of one category of vendors or food truck vendors, right? We wanna have a variety of blend, and so some of that goes into ultimately advancing and approving those applications. And then the cutoff dates is because, okay, now our health inspector has to go in and certify, like, for example, the food vendors, their good code, reshut, like all of those things. And so try to leave it open, like to the very last minute. We can leave the market vendors open, you know, close, but the food truck vendors usually cut off like 2 weeks, maybe 10 days for that purpose. We can leave the market open a little bit longer.
Yeah, but if we have space for food truck vendors and we're not filling it up, why not encourage DeSoto or Cedar Hill to say, hey, do you guys have any regular food truck vendors that may want to come in and join in?
I don't think there's a cutoff or
You know,
specified, yeah.
It's just more of a,
Absolutely.
and when it's their turn next year, they're asking to us, hey, you know, who are your strong ones that, you know, that more businesses and opportunities these food truck or smaller businesses can have, to me, seems like a better opportunity for them to continue operating and not shut down and move to a different area that's maybe got more activity, because that other city may have just more events and they can do more there than they put it with them.
We'll definitely carry forward that feedback and questions to Ms. Devon. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comment? All right, thank you, Mr. Goff. Okay, so that takes us to agenda item number 5, board member reports. And so I have something I would like to contribute. Perhaps you've gotten an email that looks like this. It is the boards and commissions banquet. And the date is Friday, September 26, 2025, time 6 to 8:30 p.m. And the location is Excel. XELA.
Oh, yeah, Zella, I think that's her. Zella Bistro.
Oh, okay.
Down on Main Street. Is it big
Yes.
enough for us all?
You know, I'm not sure.
Because we had a big turnout at the field house.
Yeah.
I mean, big. It filled up that.
Well, anyway, if you are coming, then let Mr. Barrera know, and then he in turn will let the city know. So, just a reminder. Okay, any other board member reports?
I think it should be noted that the Greater Dallas Planning Council had the South Urban Summit on the 15th of August. And we had member cities from the West Southwest represented. Unfortunately, Duncanville was not. I think there was maybe the transition in city managers or whatever. They were supposed to be on a panel discussion with Duncanville, but Duncanville was definitely absent. GDPC is forming a southern task force to focus on this area. And I think it'd be wise for us to consider having someone from our city represented on that task force going forward.
Would it be more effective to have a staff person or community person?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it's something that definitely I'll encourage you to take a look at. They're in the infancy of forming this task force. But the last thing I want is for people outside the area influencing what goes on in the best Southwest.
Okay. Actually, truth be told, I think we're done voting for it, so. But how
I'm actually going to you to sit here again.
Okay, so, any other board members report? If not, we will go to, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna ask if Tanya can stay for a second. Can we move number 7 up?
Oh, yeah. Appointment of a vice president.
So, this item was placed on Mr. Harvey's request. At this evening, we're seeking a nomination for vice presidents, of which then after nomination, we'll take a vote on that nomination and see if we can get that nominated individual appointed to the role of vice president.
Do we need a motion to stop moving it to number 6?
You know, he can move that on the.
All right, so I officially moved it up. All right. So are there any individuals interested in serving as vice president? Any individuals, anybody want to nominate an individual?
I nominate Mr. Zuka.
Unfortunately, I will decline, but I would like to nominate Mr. Broughton. Can you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Okay. All right, are there any other nominees? None.
Need a second for that?
Oh, yeah, second, any second, anybody?
I second.
Ooh, everybody second. Oh, my God. Okay, quick, quick roll call vote.
All right, Thompson. Savage.
Yeah, aye.
Okay.
See ya.
Thompson.
Aye.
Zuka.
Aye.
Kane.
Aye.
Abney. Aye.
Aye. Okay, congratulations. No. Actually, it's very easy. It's very easy.
You won't be here.
No. Actually, it's very easy. It's just one thing that I know of right now. And that is, in the meeting in October, I will not be here. I will be in Italy.
Okay.
So, and other than that, that's it. So, it's like easy.
Gotcha.
All right.
We'll walk you through it between now and then. We'll give the meetings, so help you
No,
out.
it's not worry about
Okay, so we've gone to other business, appointment of a vice president. So now that takes us to director's report.
Good evening and thank you very much. Earlier this year, we had shared with you that we would be looking at a number of basic training opportunities for the DCEDC. We thought it was important for the DCEDC, the board members, to be in tune with any change in legislation that had any impact on some powers or through the DCEDC. Be in tune of any changes with any local economic incentives, etc. Just a loop, if you will. And so we have been looking at a number of opportunities. I think there's one that coming up in October. This is through the Texas Economic Development Council. It's a course called the Basic Economic Development Course. Some ins and outs on economic development, and at the end, there is an exam and you are able to obtain a certificate. We are going to be looking into the details of the course and see if it's a good fit for board members. If it is, we will send you information on how to get registered this class.
May I ask the date?
Right now, it looks like it's October. I think it's the first half of October.
Okay.
Second, on August 14th, the bylaws committee and staff got together to go over page by page from beginning to end the current bylaws. We reviewed the proposed amendments. I will gather the proposed amendments and work with Mr. Shelby to finalize. I anticipate having that revised red line version, or let me go back. The red line version of the bylaws within 30 days. So at the next regularly scheduled meeting, we'll have that for your review and presentation. As soon as, my hope is that as soon as we finalize the bylaws, that we will give them to you way in advance of your regular package, so you have time to review it, and it's not a situation where you're reviewing it days before meeting. So this week I will be working on the comments, on the feedback that I've heard from the committee, incorporating that, and then working with Mr. Shelby to get that finalized and ready for your review and ultimate approval at the next regularly scheduled meeting. I will share with you that on September 4th, I will be attending a conference called the Retail Live. This is a conference in Austin. There are going to be approximately 100 retailers in attendance and over 1,000 people that attend. It's a one-day affair, but it's a good opportunity to see, who's entering the market, what are their site requirements, talking to brokers. It's a good event. But like I said, it's one day, so when I get back, I hope that on the meeting of September the 8th, I will report to you the outcome of that meeting, who I met, some contacts, and all of that. And if not, maybe more helpful, send that to you in the form of an email and just share with you some of the retailers that are looking into entering this market and who we might be able to hopefully connect and bring to our community.
Are you taking any other staff with you?
At this time, just myself.
Okay, I'll add on to what Mr. Barrea reported out. So before we jump into the slide and talk about Best Southwest Partnership, the Legislative Breakfast Series, and prior to sending out the packet, we sent you the most recent peer reports for sales tax collection in the city. We also sent you the main station financials, as well as Star Transit, the ridership activity, right? So if in between time you've had to review those, feel free to provide any questions or requests for information or clarity you might have with those. Mr. Dilke, you have a question? Okay. All right. So that every Friday in August, and this Friday will make the last session, we've had a delegation attend the Best Southwest Partnership, right there, fall breakfast series where they have legislative sessions. And so photos from this past Friday, which was Duncanville Day, so our city was profiled, and we've got some really good photo ops from members from our governing body. We got council members, we got your DC board president, as well as staff from city manager's office and economic development. All right, team looking good in that image. All right, really good session.
Team looking
All right,
good.
so thank you, Mr. Harvey, for your attendance. We always had somebody represented.
Yeah.
All right, and then I just wanted to share this business retention visit I had a couple weeks ago. The long story short, 84 Lumber, 84 is actually a city in Pennsylvania. I found out a little weird fun factoid. So 84 Pennsylvania is where this company is headquartered, right? And there's 3 locations here in DFW. And Duncanville happens to have one of those locations. And it's actually the only one that also has the extra yard for the engineered floor and roofing systems, right? And so on the very bottom, you see their site. It's just on North Duncanville Road, right? So north of I-20. But really wanted to just call our attention to the fact that this company, 35 full employees, and what they're doing on 12.8 acres is akin to $75,000 in property tax revenue for the city. And that's not counting what they do in sales tax. Obviously, that information is confidential, but we can say they're one of our top 10 gross earners in sales tax. Had a chance to meet with operation manager and one of the outside sales consultants. They're hanging in there, they're doing well as a company. They understand construction, that cycle is cyclical. So they're not expanding right now, not looking at any jobs, not growing, but they're like, we're in position when the market responds and when conditions are such, we'll be ready to keep going. So just wanted to share that as an example of, some of the visits we'll do, they're just genuinely visits. We're coming to check in, talk to see how businesses are doing, but some of them, these are retention visits because we know who these companies are, we know what they mean to our local economy. So it's, I just wanted to share this summary as an example of some of the work that our staff is doing, kind of behind the scene. Doesn't necessarily show up in headlines, but we've got some really solid companies in this community, almost kind of hidden in plain sight. Right? Question.
Do they sell retail?
They do. Okay. Yeah, that picture in the center, that's the retail side. The one, well, both of those photos up top, and then the flooring systems is the adjacent lot where you mostly just dealing with contractors, GCs, etc. Yeah, but you can go in there if you wanna have a local competitor to Lowe's or Home Depot, which are in other cities, you can get your floor from 84 Lumber.
The things you can't find at 84, Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah.
Are you
And
planning,
then- Oh, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, are you gonna talk to the other lumber mill up the street?
Yeah, I wanted to share this again as an example of the activities we're gonna be doing programmatically, you know, different industries, different parts of the city, the community, just making sure we really understand those factors that are contributing to the economy, that economic piece of the development that we spend a lot of time talking about.
Because I guess they've just traded hands.
That's right. Okay, got one more
I was just
slide.
say on the 84, I was just gonna say that, I think it's really good that they do have that storefront, because with them being
Yes.
elsewhere, that
Mhm.
sales tax stays here and
That's
not.
right.
Point of
Because who was
sale.
that before? DeFord? No,
No, the Ford.
before, it was someone else that we had that their base wasn't here, and so we were getting.
It was the Ford. It was the lumber.
The lumber part, okay.
Yeah.
Great story. Okay, 2 weeks ago, August 14th and 15th, right? So this is a local franchise symposium and trade show. It's hosted at Young Brands, their international corporate headquarters in Plano. They invited me to speak on and moderate one of the panels, right? So this was an opportunity for us to, you know, do some attraction and recruitment activity, really at no cost to the corporation. But this example of the session we moderated, some of the panelists included our peer in DeSoto. We had a good chance to talk about a lot of things that are common to our regional economy. And then the next slide, we've got some images that show some of the brands that were represented there, right? One of the things to keep in mind, especially on the heels of the comprehensive plan and just no shortage of the community desire to bring this company, bring this restaurant, this retailer. What we're hearing from a lot of the franchise brands, we'd love to come to Southern Dallas County or Duncanville. What we need are operators. We need entrepreneurs who are willing to get approved for our brands, and then we can talk about sites, right? And so that was really interesting and important takeaway from this session is that they recognize the opportunities in our communities, but what our work is now need to translate to is compelling or identifying either some of those existing business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs, franchisees who want to partner with these brands, right? And then initiate some development or new business activity in our community. So made a lot of great contacts. This is a snapshot of some of the brands that were there, but overall, time well spent. All right, I think that's it.
I appreciate you going to that, and at least putting our name out there for the city, and, you know, you plant a seed and who knows where it's gonna go.
Well, I'll say this, here's where we hope this to go, right? So there are some things happen similarly here, again, on the ground, and I can appreciate your comments, Mr. Dermott, about, you know, Duncanville's presence, and talking to our Best Southwest peers in DeSoto. So they've been attending this event for a couple of years. What that's turned into is local regional activities here in partnership with Dallas College, and they hosted some informational sessions, right, in their own community. So that's some of the things we're talking about as the staff, maybe as soon as late fall, right, having an informational session, figure out where if we need to partner with maybe some of the other partnership cities, but there's an event in September the 22nd at Dallas College. Marcella and I both registered for it. Again, similar to this, we've got franchisees looking for partners. We take you through a course, get you approved, teach you the finance and the banking, the regulatory piece. And as a corporation, maybe we're looking at opportunities where if there's a legitimate project that can be had, a desirable brand, then we can figure out what resources maybe to bring back to you all as a board to consider. That's it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Gall, and staff for investing you all's time. As Greg said, getting your name out there and finding out those things which are available, and knowledge is power. So there's no telling what might germinate out of it. So Let's see, where are we now? We are at executive session. In accordance with the Texas Government Code, the DCEDC shall convene into closed executive session pursuant to the following section 551.072, deliberation
Ready?
Okay, so we reconvene into open session at 8:40. And there is no action to be taken as a result of executive session. So far, so good. So, all right, now that you're back, I guess we can close. Yeah, no, we're gonna close the meeting. We're just waiting on you. Okay, so, if all minds are clear and there's no other questions or concerns, this meeting is adjourned at 8:41. So, you may not go home, can't sit here.
Thank you very much, we appreciate your